war tomorrow. Their job is to make sure that Yorkist skirmishers do not manage to get to my machine and kill my crew. This is the very latest in trebuchet design. Look, wheels inside the machine. What are they for? I will tell you. Traditionally, you load a trebuchet by pulling down the throwing arm and lifting the counterweight by using beasts of burden. Horses and oxen. Always been done that way, and to be fair, it's always worked. But a couple of niggling problems with that system. If you take horses and oxen to war with you, you tie up a percentage of your troops just looking after the animals. Men that you can't really spare. Also, your enemy will be trying to cut off the supply train. If they manage to do that, then you'll run out of food. Then you do have a problem. Hungry soldiers are not reasonable people. They will either rise up against you or just disappear into the night. You can't let that happen. So they end up eating the horses and the oxen, then there's no way of loading your trebuchet. But somebody somewhere had a moment of pure genius. They thought of another way. Why don't we borrow the technology of the medieval crane? The same cranes that helped us build our castles. They are ingeniously simple, just huge wheels that men walk inside. So you take 2 crane wheels, you put them inside the trebuchet. The 2 wheels are linked by a central axle. Take 4 men, put 2 in each wheel, and get them to walk that way. There's a rope attached to the throwing arm, goes down through a pulley, and then up to the central axle. There it is tied up. The men's walking action tightens the rope around the axle, pulling down the arm and lifting the counterweight. That huge wooden box that hangs in the middle of the machine. That box weighs just over 6.5 tons. So you've just witnessed 4 people, just through their labour, lift that incredible weight. What a feat of engineering. Yes, it is, but it's still reckoned to be one of the worst jobs in history. And there is one drawback to this system. If one of the winders makes the mistake of looking forward through the slats in the wheel, you get a shimmering light. And this brings on something called trebuchet sickness, which is an extreme version of motion sickness. And it's not unheard of for a trebuchet winder to literally throw up inside the wheel. Now that is not a good idea. Think about it. Throw up in an environment where the floor becomes the ceiling. It goes all over you. But not once, again and again. But more importantly, it coats the inside of the wheel, taking that trebuchet out of action until it can be cleaned up. Right, the arm is down. It is locked down by a trigger pushed through a metal hoop. That is the release mechanism. Below the trigger, the trebuchet master's pushed in a pin, so you can't pull the trigger until you take the pin out. And he's also locked on a chain as well. So the shooting sequence is remove the chain, pull out the pin, and then you can pull the trigger. Right, it's back into the wheels and go the other way. Why? To get rid of the rope, the one that is tight around the axle. We've got a problem. The winder in this wheel struggling. He's coming out of the trebuchet. Yes, he has trebuchet sickness. I think he's going to throw up. The trebuchet master rushes over. He'll probably give him a drink. Brutal, isn't it? Hard, isn't it? But of course it is. This is war. Tomorrow, we attack the capital of England, our capital. We take a king from his throne by force and replace him with another one. If we fail, tomorrow night, these men will all be dead and my head will be on a spike on London Bridge. Failure is not an option. We must drive them on. We have to succeed. Now this trebuchet is capable of shooting a 150-kilo rock, well over 300 pounds. So will that be my strategy? I load all of my trebuchets with rocks, select a section of the city wall and bombard it relentlessly until we blow a hole in it. And then we fight our way in. That is going to cost lives, and it's going to take time. We haven't got a lot of time. We know that Yorkist reinforcements are mobilising and are already marching upon the capital. We must get to London first. Do the deed before they arrive. But what if we do? If we blast a hole in the city wall, how do we then defend it against a Yorkist counter-attack? No. We must take the capital with its outer wall intact. How do we do that? We throw things over the wall, that's how. Why don't we fight a dirty wall? Empty all the trees in the area, find dead and rotting animals, load them into the trebuchets and throw them into the city until the inhabitants are ankle deep in sewage and filth. And if that gets into the fresh water system, they will have to surrender. You can't last very long without fresh water. Or maybe we adapt a psychological approach. We already have hundreds of Yorkist prisoners. Why don't we chop off their heads, load their heads in baskets and throw those into the city as well, to show the people of London what will happen to them if they don't give up Edward. Or maybe we play the ace which is up my sleeve. There is one thing that medieval man feared more than anything else. Times of peace, his greatest ally. That is fire. The city of London is packed with timber buildings, thatched rooms, and only a handshake between them. If we can turn the capital into an inferno, it won't be long before they're opening the doors, letting us in, or casting Edward out. So that will be my strategy. So this afternoon, in our drill, we are going to shoot a fireball! 80-kilo rock, wrapped in sacking, soaked in fuel all afternoon. It can't go into the sling because of the set of the light. So within the rock is set a ring. A chain is attached to the ring, a rope to the chain is hooked onto the end of the arm, and we launch the entire thing. Comes out of the fuel mixture into the trough. They tension the rope. They shorten the rope. The loader is ordered out of the way. The trebuchet master checks that he's happy with his machine and nothing has wandered onto the shooting range. He steps up and he takes off those all-important safeties. First of all, he removes the chain. Then he gently draws the pin from below the trigger, making the machine live. Steps down, takes the rope which is attached to the trigger, and orders the lighting of the projectile, which is at fire. The projectile is torched and it begins to burn in the middle of the trebuchet. Now he must hold his nerve. Pull the trigger too soon, it goes out. Too late, and his trebuchet is on fire. So he holds. And he holds. We launch. Fantastic, ladies and gentlemen, the Warwick Castle Trebuchet.